snap, it's crackle, what a happy sound. You gotta have a crackle or the clock's not bound. You can't stop a hoppin', and every old slap, and snap, crackle, pop, makes the world go round.
Hello, guys. I'm back, and today we have a perfect specimen of what not to do to keep your PlayStation cool. This is a perfect example of what happens when you add extra fans underneath. This is a fan / charging assembly, I am pretty sure. Well, it might not be a fan, actually. It might just be a charging dock. And if that's the case, then I'm okay with it. But first order of business is we got to get rid of this piece underneath. If you look inside there, you can see it's pretty gross in there. It's kind of trying to focus. There we go. You can kind of see it. Pretty loaded with dust. This one's come in because it's overheating, basically unplayable now. The kid ran it until it just wouldn't run anymore. Mom finally brought it in and said, "Can you please fix this?" So I said, "Sure, I'll have a look at it, no big deal." That's what I do. So we're gonna get this thing off first. It's just captured by one screw there, you guys can see. And it uses the factory port. I know people are having lots of issues with overheating, and the main reason is because these things are getting older, guys. Like a computer, they require to be serviced after a certain amount of in-duty cycle playtime. Yeah, something like that. So what happens is, you start to see major dust buildup around your venting. And when you start to see that, that's when you should bring it in, or have somebody clean it, or you clean it after you watch, one of my videos or somebody else's videos. This is a sign that things are bad inside. Now, it doesn't matter if you use a vacuum and try a vacuum in there, or you put some canned air in there, or some whatever's in there. It doesn't matter at this point. This console, based just on this, requires to come completely apart. That's what we're going to do today. Okay, so as you can see, we've got quite a bit of dust in there. This is going to come fully apart. I am not going to mess around with this at all. We're just going to try and get the big chunks out of the way so they don't end up all over the bench. Some more paper towel. Okay, we're just going to come in and give it a little bit of a wipe. Okay. This is just so I don't make a huge mess. Okay, so the top side, of course, is just as bad. See, these are big chunks. Here's my finger. Big chunks of goodness in here, and yeah, that's just what we can see. If we can see it, guaranteed we don't want to see what's underneath. Okay, so I'm going to speed rip through the disassembly of the screws. If you guys want to watch that, there's lots of videos I have of doing that, but yeah. Let's get down to the meat and potatoes, starting now. Bag connector. Grab as close as you can to the connector by the wires, gently rock, and pull straight up. It will let go. Trust me, I've never broke one. I've never broke any connector taking them off that way. It actually surprises me how many connectors get busted, to be honest. I actually blame people suggesting using using pliers to do it, like to get a pair of needle nose in there, and no, it's much. You can feel the connector better when you have it with your fingers, and you can have more control than when you have a pair of pliers that you're trying to, like, you know, get in there and squeeze and take off. I do not suggest using pliers for this. The wires will not come out if you pull on them, especially if you have them very tightly captured with your finger here. This is what I mean about getting as close. You should be pinching it as close as you can so that you've got it and you can manipulate it. And you just want to rock it side to side gently and pull at the same time, and it will come off. I want you guys to see what I see in a lot of consoles and why blowing it out with canned air doesn't work. That fin stack under there is part of the cooling solution for the PS5 APU or processor, however you want to call it. When these get that clogged, even if you put some air in there and try and blow it out, it won't come out. You need to take this right apart to get to it. And the way that you do that is you remove 2 screws in the back here. Now, I know this is kind of a PS5 fad. I don't think this is a first revision. I think this is an 020. All of the consoles come apart generally the same way, even up to the Slims and Pros. There's a couple differences between where the screws actually come out. But if, generally speaking, the removal procedure, the disassembly procedure is always the same. With just some slight variances on where the screws are located and stuff like this, right? So, what's going on here? Okay, that was the right one. What am I doing? Okay. So on this particular PlayStation, we have one. Now this is on the back side. So disk drive, or front side, I call it, where your fan connector is. That's, I guess, the top side. And then this will be the bottom side. So you've got one screw there, and there's one over here on this PS5. The original 010 is also the same. I think it changes in the 033 revision, but again, the differences are minor, but they're ultimately they're the same. Okay, so we're gonna continue with disassembly. Now we're down to the disk drive. We're just gonna take that off. Okay, the connector is the same, right? Like, whether you want to take it off from this side or that side, it doesn't really matter. Again, you're gonna pinch, you're gonna rock gently, and you're gonna pull, and it's gonna let go. Now it does take a little bit of force. I'm not gonna lie, you do have to make it feel like it's not happy, but it will come out. Okay, and then you just press down on the little metal tab, and out comes the disk drive. Now these are stuck down a little bit. Best to get your finger wedged in on the side here, and then you can kind of help it move. It will take a little bit on the first go here. You just want to kind of gently work it. It does have thermal pads holding it down, so it is somewhat stuck. Now, I did remove the screws underneath, so be careful because this whole assembly is loose. So when you're pulling this part off, just be careful. Okay, we'll pop there, and here is why it sticks. It's got thermal pads and stuff on there. Okay, throw that off to the side. Okay, so we're down in the main board. So at this point, we don't have to go into the processor. I am going to go into the liquid metal. I'm going to do the liquid metal on camera again so everybody can see. This one is probably way worse than the one that I did on my last video for cleaning. So hopefully we get to see a super bad dry spot. But for now, what we want to do is pull the whole assembly from the case. And okay, so here's a couple things. Alright, so your fin stack is definitely clogged on camera. There we go. So it's not as bad as I've seen, but you can see that we've got a solid amount across there. So I'm just going to stick that off to the side because the part that most people need to realize, and this is why canned air, you maybe can get this clean from the exterior, sort of, but you're never going to get this. And this is where your power supply actually vents. So your fan spins, the air circulates throughout the entire thing, through the fin stacks and exhausts out the back of the case here, or through the vents. So as you can see, here, let's zoom in on that so people can really see. This isn't as bad as I've seen. This is fairly bad, but this isn't like showstopper bad, but it is clogged. And when it's clogged, that means your power supply is overheating as well, right? So your power supply isn't able to cool properly. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this outside. I'm going to go blow this out completely and just kind of clean up this part of the case, and then I'll attack the fin stack after. Okay, so there we go. We're back from the blowout here. As you can see, it's a lot cleaner. Totally cleaned the venting in here. You're best off to kind of get the air nozzle right up here and give this a good blowout. You can take the power supply right out as well. I find you don't really have to. I did pop it out just so I could make sure it was clear on the bottom, but basically you want to make sure those vents are open. You want to make sure this is open and that this power supply can breathe. Now just be careful with this in this state because everything is kind of loose. Like you can pull the front bezel off and stuff, so just be aware that things are easily moved, i.e. if you're not paying attention, you can wreck it. So just be really careful with everything while it's apart. You don't want to have an oopsies with your ribbon cables or your antenna cables or any of that stuff. You want to have it kind of free and clear so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so now that that part's done, we're going to move on to the APU. Put that down. And I'm going to go blow this out real quick. Okay, guys, that is been blown out. As you can see, it's a lot cleaner. There's still a little bit of residual in there. I generally just try and get that out with either a blade or a X-Acto or something. It's not the end of the world. Honestly, that will probably blow out once the fan is spinning. You want to spend extra time you can. But generally, just wiping it with the microfiber cloth to the side will also remove that. So there you go. I can see she's nice and clean. I don't generally like to work on this thing with it out of the case, so we're going to bring the case back. And we're just going to pop it back down, because that is the only reason we needed to pull it out, was just to get to the bottom of that. So we're done. So let's put that back, like so. Okay, and I'm actually going to throw some of the screws in here as well. So we just want to get that back in there so that we don't have things flopping around and possibly creating us a problem. Before we remove this particular model, this is actually a newer one. What is this? Oh, it is an 033. Okay, this is an 033. So this is a newer. This is the revision, I think, just before they moved to the slim model. So it's a smaller board, and this one has 2 screws that capture it, that are underneath that plate. So you got to make sure you get those. Like so. Okay, so just make sure we've got everything out, and I like to start on a corner that I can grab. That came up really easy, but a little bit easier than I like. You need to make sure you pop this, because this is where it plugs into the power supply, and it kind of holds onto it there. So just get under it right on the corner here. Don't dig too far in with this, just get it off to the corner and pry up a little bit, and the board will just come right off. Okay, what do we got here? We don't have a good example of a dry spot, dang it. Here is the liquid metal. Okay, this is the elusive liquid metal, and actually this one really looks very good because we do not see any sort of a dark spot anywhere. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not oxidation on there, and the way that we basically confirm that is we will grab, I kind of use a different cotton bud for this. They're a tighter knit kind of bud. They've got a point on one side and kind of a tighter knit cotton bud on the other. These are the ones I like to use for the APU. I don't like using the regular ones for this, just because these stay together a little bit better. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our alcohol dispenser right here, and we're going to soak the cotton bud side. I'm not going to use the point for this. I'm going to soak it with isopropanol, 99%, and we're just going to push the liquid metal all into one area. So now that we've got the liquid metal kind of in the middle, we're going to use a dry cotton bud now, and we're going to basically do small little circles, and it's going to basically work it back into the APU surface, which is what you want. You want it all over the surface, and when we have it good, what you're going to see is it's going to mirror right up. It's going to look like a mirror. I mean, I know the APU is already shiny, but it's going to look even shinier. Just going to keep our like this till it basically is across the entire APU, and it'll kind of look pillowy, sort of. Try and keep it on the processor as much as you can. if it is not spreading in, or it's not like seeming like it's flowing, it's got some oxidization. So just keep rubbing there until it flows in there. So this is done. Okay, and you can see it's kind of like got a mirror finish. You want it to spread all the way across the die, and you want to keep the edges free of liquid metal. You don't want to have any liquid metal get out of that dam and onto the board. That is catastrophic. Be careful. Do not spill liquid metal all over the place. It is bad news. Just like that. You can see the little bit of a bubble in there. Well, that's how it should look. So that's good. We are done. The board can go back down, and we can start to put this thing back together. Blue light. Good. And PlayStation logo. Boom, boom, boom. There she is. It's alive and good. So, final steps to this. I'm just going to clean the case up a bit. Obviously, I'll do a check on it, do some gaming, make sure that everything stays cool while I'm doing that. I can already feel the airs moving around this pretty good. So, that's it for this one, guys. I will see you in the next one. Hopefully that helped you. Please like, subscribe, all that good jazz. And I will be back with another video soon. Peace.